For our final project, we analyzed Amazon and focused on an HR issue within its warehouse operations. Specifically, we looked at employee burnout, why it happens, and how Amazon could address it through a strategic change in performance management. We'll walk through the problem, our recommendation, how it can be implemented, and the potential risks. Amazon operates one of the world's largest networks of warehouses, which are central to its fast delivery business model. These warehouses process millions of orders each day, enabling the company's trademark same-day, next-day, and two-day delivery services. Work in these facilities is physically demanding and highly time-sensitive, making effective management of warehouse employees essential to maintaining productivity and meeting customer expectations. Guided by its Day One philosophy, which emphasizes innovation, operational excellence, and a relentless focus on the customer, Amazon continually seeks to enhance its warehouse operations by implementing new technologies and processes to improve efficiency, accuracy, and overall performance. At the same time, the company's relentless drive for efficiency has brought growing attention to the pressures placed on warehouse employees. While Amazon faces multiple HR challenges, our group has chosen to focus on one core issue: employee burnout. In recent years, burnout has emerged as a significant concern, threatening both employee well-being and operational stability. Consequently, addressing burnout is a key human resource priority essential for sustaining productivity and preserving the core values of Amazon's Day One philosophy. Burnout has become a serious problem for workers in Amazon's US warehouses, where employees face relentless pressure to sustain exceptionally high productivity rates. They are monitored to the minute through Amazon's time off task, also known as the TOT system. Accumulating too much TOT can result in workers being punished or even fired for everyday actions like bathroom breaks, chatting briefly with a coworker, or visiting the wrong floor. This hyper-monitoring intensifies burnout by replacing human judgment with machine data-driven evaluations. Managers are expected to identify the top offenders each shift, question workers about their whereabouts, and even use surveillance footage to verify their movements. Many employees say they don't know how much TOT they've accumulated and often skip water and bathroom breaks out of fear, deepening stress and exhaustion. The demanding pace, combined with constant monitoring, accelerates burnout, as more than half say they feel burned out, with burnout increasing the longer they stay. About 44% also say that they can't take breaks when they need to, despite rest being crucial for restoring stamina.
For our focus problem, we are specifically looking at employee burnout in Amazon's fulfillment centers. Amazon's warehouse work design heavily prioritizes speed, output, and efficiency, often at the expense of long-term employee sustainability. Workers are expected to maintain high productivity rates for entire shifts, which create constant pressures to move faster and minimize downtime. A major driver of this pressure is Amazon's algorithm-based monitoring and performance tracking systems. Employees' movements and speeds are continuously tracked, which reduces flexibility and increases stress because workers feel they are always being watched and evaluated. At the same time, the job itself is physically demanding, yet recovery time is limited. Breaks are short, tasks are repetitive, and slowing down can result in penalties. Over time, the combination of the physical strain and constant performance pressures contributes directly to burnout. What's important here is not about a few individuals struggling, it's about the way the work is designed consistently pushes employees beyond sustainable limits. As a result, burnout becomes widespread and begins to undermine workforce stability across fulfillment centers. Evidence shows that burnout among Amazon fulfillment centers employees is both widespread and measurable. Investigations by outlets like the New York Times have reported voluntary turnover rates at or above 100% annually, with some estimates reaching as high as 150% in some regions. Additional reporting based on certain leaked internal data suggests that a large share of new hires leave within the first 90 days, pointing to early exhaustion rather than poor individual fit. Burnout is also reflected in injury rates and absenteeism. Reviews and Labor Department investigations, particularly in states like Washington and California, show that Amazon warehouses experience injury rates higher than industry averages. These injuries are closely linked to repetitive motion tasks and constant performance pressures. Many employees report taking unpaid time off due to pain or exhaustion, and absenteeism increases as physical and mental fatigue accumulate. Employee accounts further reinforce this pattern. Workers frequently describe the job as physically demanding and mentally isolating. Tasks are repetitive and closely monitored and paced by algorithms, leaving no room for error or recovery. Media investigations by outlets like ProPublica and CNBC constantly cite speed based productivity targets as a major source of chronic stress, contributing to emotional exhaustion and disengagement. Taken together, both quantitative data and employee accounts point to a consistent conclusion. Burnout in Amazon warehouses is real, ongoing, and structurally driven by work design, not by isolated individual issues.
Now I will explain the main causes of burnout in Amazon warehouses. The first cause is how workers are measured. Most of their performance score comes from how fast they move. They must pick or pack items very quickly, and the system watches them closely at every moment. Scanners and algorithms track how many items they handle, how long each task takes, and how long they pause. Because of this, many workers feel they cannot slow down, even for a few seconds. This kind of tracking also means workers have almost no control over their own pace. The system sets the speed. If they fall behind, they may receive warnings. This creates a lot of pressure during the whole shift, not just during busy times. Many workers say they feel stressed before the shift even starts because they know the system will watch them the entire time of their work. Another major cause is the lack of recovery time. Warehouse workers involve long periods of walking, standing, lifting, and bending. Breaks are short, and sometimes workers feel rushed even during those breaks. Over time, all of this increases physical strain and mental stress. So, the main reason for burnout is not that workers are lazy or unmotivated, it is the design of the job itself. The work is fast paced, the monitoring is constant, the autonomy is low, and the time to rest is very much limited. These conditions make the job very exhausting and lead many workers to feel burned out. This problem connects clearly to the ideas we learned in class. Pfeffer teaches us about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is when people work for reward like quotas, numbers, or output. Intrinsic motivation is when people feel valued, respected, and connected to their work. At Amazon, the system focuses almost completely on extrinsic motivation. Workers are pushed by speed targets and constant numbers. This can help in the short term, but it does not help people stay motivated over time. Many workers start to feel like the company sees them only as a number, not as a person. We also learned that when people have very low autonomy, their stress levels rise. In the warehouse, workers have little control over how to do their tasks. The system decides the pace, the order of tasks, and even the small details of how they move. When people have no control, they feel more pressure and get tired more quickly. This makes burnout more likely. Another important idea from class is good performance management. A good system includes clear feedback, support, fairness, and space for conversation. But in Amazon warehouses, the performance system focuses mainly on speed. There is very little space for workers to share their concerns or explain why something slowed them down. This makes the process feel one sided and creates frustration. When we connected these ideas together, it becomes very clear why burnout grows. High pressure, low autonomy, and a narrow performance system creates conditions that lead to stress and exhaustion. The theory we learn in class helps explain what we see happening in real workplaces.
Our recommendation is to implement paid recovery breaks to combat employee burnout, an issue that has become especially visible in high intensity environments like Amazon's fulfillment centers. Right now, Amazon's workforce operates under demanding, fast paced conditions where productivity expectations are extremely high. Research shows that this type of environment contributes directly to burnout, and Amazon has repeatedly faced criticism for the physical and mental strain placed on employees. This makes the need for structured micro-recovery periods even more urgent. Our recommendation introduces paid, scheduled micro breaks within existing shifts. These breaks aren't random, they're standardized across teams to ensure consistency and fairness. By integrating recovery time directly into workflow planning, we create a system that supports employee health without disturbing operations. Implementing paid recovery breaks is effective because it directly tackles one of the biggest challenges in Amazon's fulfillment centers, burnout. When employees work long hours with repetitive, high-intensity tasks, the physical and mental strain builds quickly. Giving them structured recovery time helps interrupt that cycle and lower stress before it becomes overwhelming. These breaks also increase productivity and accuracy. When employees aren't pushed to the point of exhaustion, they're able to stay focused, work more safely, and maintain consistent performance throughout their shift. This leads to better overall well-being, which is essential in a workplace where both speed and precision are required every day. Over time, these improvements strengthen work-life balance and job satisfaction. Employees feel supported rather than depleted, which reduces turnover. Fewer errors, fewer sick days, and more engaged workers directly benefit the company's bottom line. And beyond the operational impact, this approach helps shape Amazon into a more responsible, employee-centered workplace.
For our recommendation to work, there are a few key assumptions we are making. First, we assume that Amazon will keep its current productivity expectations, but will be open to adjusting how employee performance is measured. The goal isn't to slow down operations, but to balance the metrics so that they are more sustainable. Second, we assume that managers can be trained to use new evaluation systems consistently. Since managers plays a major role in performance reviews, the success of this plan depends on their ability to understand and apply new metrics. Finally, we assume that employees will respond positively to having less pressure from speed-only targets. If work feel the expectations are more balanced and fair, we expect motivation to improve and burnout to decrease. Our implementation plan follows a clear and realistic timeline. We start with the design phase in month 1, where Amazon creates the new performance metrics and prepares the materials needed for training and pilot testing. This step ensures that the new system is clear, measurable, and ready to test. Next, in months 2 through 4, Amazon run a pilot selected fulfillment centers. During this period, managers and employees try the new metrics, and Amazon collects feedback on what worked well and what needs adjustment. This pilot phase is important because it allows Amazon to identify issues before rolling the system out widely. Finally, in month 5 to 7, Amazon analyzes the pilot results and make refinement. Once the improvements are made, the company moves into a full rollout across all fulfillment centers by month 7. For this recommendation to work, Amazon will need to invest in a few key areas. First, there will be training costs for managers. They need to learn how to apply the new performance metrics and give consistent evaluations. This training is important because managers play a role in how employees experience in the new system. Second, Amazon will need to update its performance tracking systems. The current systems focus heavily on speed, so they must be adjusted to include safety, quality, and recovery time. This may require support from HR analytics and operations technology teams. Finally, the success of this plan depends on strong leadership buy-in. HR leaders, operation managers, and warehouse supervisors all need to support the change and communicate why it matters. Without their support, the new metrics won't be able to apply consistently.
To see whether the new performance system is effective, we'd focus on a few key metrics. First, we track burnout levels through employee surveys. Early in the presentation, burnout showed up in reports of stress, exhaustion, and pressure, so lower survey scores would show real improvement. We'd also expect voluntary turnover to decline, since turnover is one of the clearest symptoms of burnout in Amazon's warehouses. Safety metrics are an important indicator. If employees experience less strain and more recovery time, injury rates and burnout-related absenteeism should start to decrease. At the same time, we'd monitor long-term productivity. The goal isn't to lower performance, but to make it more sustainable, so we should see steady productivity without the burnout spike. And overall satisfaction and engagement scores should rise if employees feel more supported and less overwhelmed. There are several risks Amazon would need to keep in mind when rolling out this new system. One risk is the short-term drop in productivity as employees and managers adjust to new expectations. Another risk is manager resistance, since many supervisors are used to speed-focused evaluations and may be unsure about changing their approach. There's also the risk of inconsistent implementation across fulfillment centers, especially given Amazon's size, and employees might be skeptical if they've experienced high pressure for a long time. To manage these risks, Amazon could begin with a pilot program in a small number of centers, gather feedback, and refine the system before rolling it out more broadly. Training managers on the new balanced metrics, setting clear benchmarks, and openly sharing early success stories would help keep the system consistent and build trust across the workforce. To wrap up, our main takeaway is that burnout at Amazon is a measurable and costly issue that affects both employees and the organization. The problem is strongly linked to how performance is currently measured, since the focus on speed creates constant pressure and drives exhaustion. Redesigning performance metrics that include safety, quality, and recovery time supports intrinsic motivation and signals that the company values sustainable work, not just fast output. This kind of strategic HR design can reduce turnover, lower injury rates, and create a more stable and engaged workforce. In the long run, sustainable performance benefits both employees and the company, making the work environment healthier while supporting Amazon's operational goals.